I would like to add my voice to those thanking Marcus Ratchford for his inspiring, tireless work against child hunger. I also want to pay tribute to 15-year-old Dev Sharma, the Member of Youth Parliament for Leicestershire and an ambassador for the Food Foundation, championing the right to food for all children. I could not agree more that in 2020, in the sixth richest country of the world, it is appalling that we are even having this debate about how we feed our children. Marcus is brilliant, but it should not be left to pioneering Premier League footballers to paper over the cracks created by a decade of cruel austerity. The government should be ashamed, actually, by their record. 200,000 children going hungry, 45% of African, Asian and minority ethnic children living in poverty, 1 million more children projected to be in poverty by 2022. I know from my own experiences, Madam Deputy Speaker, that despite both parents working, what it's like to be a child on free school meals and what it means for survival, for progress and for opportunity. In communities like mine, this government has normalised hunger, poverty and hopelessness. In Leicester East, 42% of our children live in poverty. Years of austerity combined with insecure employment means an estimated 44,000 children in Leicestershire are living below the poverty line, even though the vast majority, 31,000, have at least one parent who has a job. The fact that a job no longer provides a route out of poverty or even guarantees that your children will be fed represents an unforgivable breakdown of our social contract. Indeed, prior to COVID-19, Madam Deputy Speaker, an area in my constituency had 51% of its children in child poverty, and that was before this unprecedented crisis. Indeed, nearly 6,000 households in Leicester East were in fuel poverty, meaning 14% of school children in my constituency are living in a situation where parents are forced to make the impossible choice between keeping their family warm or going hungry. Beyond school meals, this government has completely failed young people in Leicester, of course, in terms of education, because central government funding per pupil has dropped by 8.4% since 2013. At the same time, my constituency has a lower than average GCSE attainment level, and only 6% of our students achieve AAB A level, which is less than half the national average. Madam Deputy Speaker, does this government not believe that young people in my constituency deserve the same opportunity to receive a good education? Do they not believe that it is a national scandal for any child to be going hungry while billionaires and big corporations make ever-increasing profits? Two-thirds of the current cabinet, as we know, were privately educated, yet they systematically deny working-class young people the opportunities that they were afforded. That this government of the super-rich, by the super-rich and for the super-rich could have listened to these figures and still even thought about denying vulnerable children the security of a daily meal is beyond callous. Madam Deputy Speaker, this government would have known from its own equality impact assessment that to have done so would have impacted black communities worse. Therefore, the government would have lent itself to the charge of institutional racism. The government would have known that the right thing to do is to take the data and follow the evidence and change the outcomes towards the transformational change that Black Lives Matter demands. Instead, it was left to Marcus Ratchford and young people like Dev Sharma from Leicester to present the case for humanity.